right, good morning, Chair Esquivel, board members.
Bit of shift in the weather.
Yes, substantially. So I'm going to do a brief current hydrologic update for you today. We're going to talk about current statewide hydrology, which is changing by the minute, and then talk about the Scott and Shasta rivers, a little bit about groundwater recharge, and then an update on water rights annual reporting. So this is the total precipitation as of February 1st, which has actually changed even by a day. So when we looked at, these are always a little bit behind when they're posted online, but this is your statewide precipitation, which was at 85% of average for the year as of the 1st of February. And it was up to, I believe, 115% a month before that. So that's a pretty substantial change. We dropped quite a bit. And then on the 2nd, it was up to 90%. So it's ticking up with these storms, which is great to see, but still maintaining that shift where you're getting a lot of the rain clearly up north, and then it tapers off as we go south. So again, digging it a little deeper, looking at the Sierra precipitation indexes. This is the northern Sierra. You can see here we're at 114% of average, and this was as of yesterday. And we're following that little dark blue line where it says current 32.2. So if you can mind that right there. I know there's a lot of lines here. We're comparing this to a lot of different water years, you can see. As we move again, a little bit south, now we're down to 53% of average. And again, it's worth noting that, statewide and then in these different indices, we saw a drop of about 20 to 30 percentage points, really depending on where we are in the various systems. But those are ticking up a bit as we're getting some of the rain. Okay, and then in the Tulare area, we're at 48%, and you can see down again that little blue line is fairly low. So we're just going to continue to watch to see what happens as these storms continue. Okay, so looking at our snowpack, again, you can see if you look in the northern area, we're at 101% of normal for the year, and then follows the same pattern as we start moving our way south. We have 64% of normal in the central, and then 46% of normal in the southern area. And if you look statewide, that brings us to a percent of normal as 69%. And if you can bear with me, it was 106% a month ago, which again, it's been very dry. We would expect to see that drop down. It's going to be getting colder as the current storms pass us, and we're really hoping to see quite a bit more snow added to the snowpacks. So when we check back in again next time, hopefully we will see an increase there. Quickly, just touching on our major reservoirs, they are all at or above average. Okay, so jumping into to the regional response for the Scott and Shasta rivers, the readopt emergency regulation did go into effect on the 27th, January 27th, and that is good for 1 year. Right now, the curtailments are suspended on both the Shasta and the Scott. The flows as of 6:30 this morning for the Wairika gauge were 1,950 CFS, and for the Fort Jones gauge, they were 3,750 CFS, so well above the minimum flow requirements for both of those. Noting for the Shasta, the snowpack on February 3rd was 128% of the February 1st. February 1st and 79% of April 1st averages. And then for the Scott, the snowpack was 104% for February 1st and 65% of April 1st average. And just as a reminder, those get tracked a little differently. They look at snow water content, and they do that monthly, I believe. And then you can see that here that through mid to end of December, the adult fish that were counted in both of those rivers are listed here. So Chinook, Coho, and Steelhead. And we are planning on a groundwater local cooperative solutions public meeting in February. It's looking like February 25th in Etna, and more information can be found on our website about that. So we'll just briefly look at these, the graphs, which you're familiar with. The red line is the emergency minimum flows. The green bars would be precipitation events, and then the blue line would be the flows, in this case, at the Fort Jones gauge, and you can see they are well above the minimum requirement. And for the Shasta River, we're tracking the Wairika flow gauge. And again, you can see them following the the storm events peaking up and then staying above that emergency flow line. All right, briefly before we jump into the groundwater recharge temporary permits, I did want to mention before we leave the regional section is there was a request last month to at some point do a Colorado River update. And we have reached out to the Colorado River Board. Chris Harris, who has been here before to speak with you, has retired. And so we're now working with them to find a good time to have somebody come out and do that, looking like sometime in the spring, maybe May-ish is what we're looking at. But we're going to coordinate with them a little bit more and get back to you on that. So for groundwater recharge temporary permits, all applications that we have received have been issued. There have been 6. They're listed here. The bit.ly link at the bottom of this slide allows folks to go and take a look and get the specifics on those temporary permits. But I just want to give note that our team really pushed hard to get those all issued in a timely manner. So very proud of staff for doing that.
Really appreciate that note and appreciate the great work I know that folks have been doing to process all those applications. Just wondering if there are any pending at this point, or we see any others from folks, very late here in the season, looking to get in there.
No, we received 6 and we processed 6.
Yep. Fantastic. Thank you.
Also, there was an executive order issued on the 31st regarding groundwater recharge, and just as a brief overview, it makes it easier for local and regional agencies to use existing laws to maximize groundwater recharge. And this is building on the 2023 executive orders and then the subsequent legislation that supported the use of stormwater flows for groundwater recharge. It also, the executive order ensures Department of Water Resources and other state agencies are taking full advantage of upcoming winter storms. It's worth noting that local agencies or regional agencies who are going to make use of this provision, they have to notify the board within 48 hours that they're going to be doing that. We have not received any notifications as of today. Okay, and just briefly want to touch on the water rights annual reports. This will be my last topic for the 23-24 water year. Those reports were due a few days ago on February 1st. Also want to note that the late reporting fees for the post-1914 appropriative right holders accrue after 30 days. And I have the table of fees here just as a reminder that depending on the size of the water right and the number of days late determines how much that fee is going to be. So you can take a look in that third column, that 31 to 60 days late. That's going to be the first ones that would accrue. So folks still have some time to get the no late fee in there. But I do want to note that as a whole, 44% of water right holders and claimants have not reported as of February 3rd. We're going to break that down slightly. So the outstanding water rights, those that have still not reported here, are in blue. And we've broken these down by the type of water right for a couple different reasons. You can see we have federal claims and stock ponds, groundwater recordation, other stock ponds and registrations there at the top. These make up a smaller percentage of the total water rights, maybe about 25% of what we're looking at. And you can see that the compliance, or in this case, the outstanding water rights, varies depending on them, but this breaks it down a little bit. But what I want to focus in on, if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you, there we go. Just to take a look here at the riparian and pre-1914 claims, and then your post-1914 appropriatives. And those are really the ones we're going to focus in on as we provide information and updates going forward, because they make up the bulk of our water rights. But you can see here that our claims are 54% have not reported, whereas the post-1914s were at about 38%. So there's a shift there, worth noting, because those post-1914s are the ones that are subject to the late fees. And so we'll be, tracking those to see, how that looks and how that applies going forward. I did chat with the reporting team before this presentation, and they noted that we really do receive quite a few more reports in that 30-day window. So we should expect to see these numbers decrease. After that, there'll be a question. So,
can I ask, do you know off the top of your head where we ended up with the 22-23 water year with folks?
I had a feeling this might be asked, and then I just forgot to look at it. I want to say it was at about 33. But I'm hesitant to lean on that. But I don't think it changed dramatically from, we had kind of touched on it. We were seeing a few shifting, but I think it was around that 30%, And again, that was really for all of them. And it does make a difference when you start pulling out. And we haven't even gotten into the volumetric changes within these two, which we will show those as we get a little further along. We can dig into that. It's just so fresh. We haven't had a chance to.
And well, I appreciate these early numbers. Board member.
And kind of along those lines, can you just talk a little bit about how you've communicated the changing fees to water right holders? Part of this is to incentivize and hopefully get them to report more quickly. So are you shared the table of all the different fee penalties that are possible now. Are you communicating that so everyone's as aware as possible of those changes?
We are, but I can't give you the specifics. I'll have to talk to the team a little bit more about the specific measures they've taken, but we had a pretty big public process as we moved forward with adopting the fees. And then we do notify folks when the reporting is due. Notifications go out when they're going to be coming. So that would have been included in there to let them know that was happening. I do know that there's going to be additional communication for compliance that the team is working right now to communicate with folks that already are late to remind them of these things. But I can dig in and get a little bit more details on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
that'd be helpful.